my Facebook page. So give me a second, guys. All right, all right, all right. It has been a week already. Okay, I think I got it. I think now I'm live, and it's probably gonna try to echo. So let me X this out. Give me a second, guys. All right. There we go. Now we're cooking with grease. Or if you like me, you use the air fryer and you're not using any grease anymore like that. All right. So I wanted to say welcome to Tax Talk Tuesday, and I am excited to have you here. For those of you who do not know me, I am Tawana with Bryant Business Solutions. I own and operate a full service virtual, 100% virtual tax and accounting firm. I have been in business since about 2012, but I've been doing taxes since 2006. Education actually started in 99, so I'm starting to tell a little bit of my age here, just a little bit. But I am excited. Like I said earlier, IG heard me, Facebook. I'm sorry, I didn't even hit the live a little while ago, but I'm going to talk tonight. I wanted to talk a little bit about just some common myths and bust some myth busters about some things that I see on social media when people are entering into tax season. You know what? My son is sending messages. But as we're entering in tax season, even when we're not in tax season, I see people ask certain questions and or they'll say that I'm looking for this certain thing, but do they really understand what that means? So what I wanted to do though is, because I had a challenge and I wanted to answer just a few things about myself and what led me into the industry that I'm in. Did not plan this at all. Wasn't even quite sure. I think when I went back to school after high school graduation, I went back a few years later and started my academic journey again post high school. And I remember taking my accounting class, and anyone that is familiar with Columbia, South Carolina, Midlands Technical College, Kelly, that's what they called her. She was the accounting instructor, and y'all, I could not get out that lady class. I even dropped back. I went to another campus to avoid her and got an instructor that I could not understand. And so then I went back and took her again. And I failed her class. I didn't even fail her class. I just dropped. I didn't even give it an opportunity to fail. And I put myself back in a remedial level. I call it remedial level, like a 100 111 level accounting course, because I wanted to understand it, because I did want to go into my degree was finance administration. So I wanted to deal in some area of finance, but if I had to take Killer Killy, I didn't want it. I did not want it, did not want to go to her class. She was the only one, seems like, at Midlands Tech that was teaching accounting, even though all these other teachers were there. For whatever reason, I ended up stuck in her class every single time. Finally got through her courses. Well, then I started working at a major insurance company here in Columbia, and started out in like a membership department. I was okay with that. Then I was doing some crossover testing and billing, and that contract actually ended. They shut down the company that we were doing contract work for, and I got moved to an entirely different area. And I was like, okay, something else has to be done. I was a single mom, 3 children, very young, and just wanted more. Realized that I wanted more. I had to have more. So with those 3 children, all in sports, 3 different sports, going to school, working full time, I went ahead and pursued accounting. I always basically double majored management and accounting, but I don't want anyone to feel like, because if they're single parents or if there's something hindering them, even if you have trouble understanding something in the beginning, such as how I was having a hard time understanding accounting, take a lower level course, because it can truly become a passion of yours, and it has really become a passion of mine. Along with the fact that I do love educating, and you'll see me looking from side to side. I have several platforms going right now. But I want people to, when you start out on your journey, don't let what the discouragement that may come, don't let things that may happen, that seems like you can't quite get it. Don't let that be a reason to quit or stop. Continue, unless it's something that you're just no longer interested in. And I've seen that happen. But I went on and completed my master's degree in accounting and management, and the MBA in management, and then got a graduate certificate, which is master's level hours of accounting, so that I could teach at the collegiate level. And when I started applying, everyone, the colleges and the institutions I was applying to was like, oh, now we're wanting doctoral level um, credentials because they get more funding, or something regarding the funding. They get more funding, or it's a better backing if they have doctoral level. So then I went on to pursue my doctorate, because I was like, I've got to teach. I've got to teach. I have so much to give, so much to give back. I adored my teachers and my instructors and professors that I had. Um, and along that journey, there's a lot going on. Multiple deaths in the family that hit really, really hard. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and just started having just a lot of things happen. I still continue to fight through. Needless to say, I did not finish my degree. I actually submitted to first and second chair, and just decided, okay, some additional things happened, got sick again, and realized, okay, Tawana, you can actually do this without the credentials that you're going for, and you can still put yourself and position yourself to teach others. And that's why I'm here in this platform now, because I saw a way, and looking back now, if I could have done things different, I probably would have. I honestly would have gotten probably a 2-year degree, maybe a 4-year degree, um, and just took the additional educational courses, because you still have to take them. You still have to be a forever student, and that's with any industry. Whatever industry you're in, continue to study your craft. Taxes and accounting is ever changing, so we have to stay abreast of everything. As you all saw with COVID and how quick we had to shift into the PPP loans, the EIDL loans, we had to shift immediately. So I love constant change like that. I really do. Um, as far as my first client, I don't remember who my first client was, but I am grateful because I've had so much support throughout the years, friends, family supporting me, and even others that have come along the way that trust me. And I'm grateful for those who've trusted me and trusted me with their friends and family, that they're willing to share information with me. Now, what I wanted to talk about, though, specifically tonight, was one of the things that I see often, and I don't know how I feel about it, and it's no disrespect to anyone's designations or credentials or things of that nature. However, I want everyone to understand and know that when you're looking for a tax professional or you're looking for an accountant, don't be deceived by, and I've said this, and I know you've heard me say this multiple times before, don't be deceived by the letters behind someone's name. Um, don't be fooled, as with any industry. Don't be fooled by the designation and assume it means something more than what it does. You still want to do your due diligence when you're looking for a professional. Now, a tax preparer, they're typically designed to calculate, file, sign income tax returns on behalf of individuals and business owners, and that's what they study to do in whatever capacity. Now, anyone can become a tax preparer as long as they're able to. Well, I'm not going to say anyone, but most people can become a tax preparer as long as you get your preparer tax identification number, register with the IRS. You don't have felonies and all that stuff on your record. You could typically become a tax professional. And there's a lot of times where you have people that are at home doing your taxes on TurboTax. I do not recommend you going with those people, because even though a a regular tax preparer has doesn't have any designations, CPA, EA, anything like that. Even though they don't have that, they do have limited rights to help represent you in certain situations should a question come up about your tax return. So I don't want you to feel as though I have to have a CPA. The reason I say that is because if a CPA does not um, if a CPA does not function in the role of a tax professional and they do not do taxes on a regular basis, then they probably don't really know taxes like that. Now, they may have in their firm, if that's how they operate, if they have a firm with other credentialed people, they may have a tax preparer in their office. But a CPA is basically a professional accountant and they met state qualifications. They sat for the exam and it's a rigorous exam. So that's why I say I don't discount anything that they do. But I don't want you to be led to believe that if you don't have a CPA, then that's the only one that is qualified to do your taxes. We're in tax season and I know a lot of people are, you're seeking a professional to do your taxes or even your accounting or your bookkeeping or what have you. CPAs, that's typically not the role that they function in. Their ability, though, outside of the scope of a tax professional is they can perform mandatory audits. They can sign off on the analysis of your financials. So that's what separates them from the regular accountant or tax professional. And then they have to keep up with the state designation and the tax laws in order to maintain their license in the state. But when we're taking our continuing education hours, they have to be so many different fields. One is ethics. You get your continuing education in ethics. Now, you also have what's called an enrolled agent, and both the CPA and an enrolled agent can actually practice in higher level laws, courts, IRS courts. And they actually, even with the enrolled agent exam, and I will be sitting for my exam this year, and they're more of a tax law specialist. However, what's different with them sometimes is a lot of times they focus more on tax resolution. You get in trouble with the IRS, you have this enormous bill, 10, 20, 30, six-figure amounts that you owe the IRS, okay? You're going to want an enrolled agent in your corner who can fight that for you, but they can also go to court, CPA, enrolled agent, and an attorney. They can actually go to court on your behalf, and you don't have to go. So you want to look at those credentials more so for in that area, but don't discount the individuals who work very hard to keep up with the tax laws. The tax law changes because the credentials of a CPA, an EA, or an attorney are not required to be a tax professional. Now, one thing that's new, there was a registered tax return preparer exam that you could take in previous years, kind of in lieu of those credentials, so that you can just have the designation to show that you've taken continuing education hours. But now it's voluntary. And so now I'm not sure if from time to time you'll see me put the AFSP behind my name. And that credential is a voluntary program for that we take additional continuing education hours voluntarily. It's not mandatory. It's not anything that we have to do. As long as your P10 is valid, you've renewed it and kept it up, that's all you really need to continue to practice tax preparation. But I just don't want people to be misled into thinking, again, that you have to have a certain person. You want to make sure you're getting someone that's professional, courteous, honest, operates in integrity, okay? And you want to know that they're willing to share that information with you. They're willing to answer your questions if you have them. If they don't have the answers, they're willing to dig to get the information. One thing that I pride myself on is being honest. And my firm, honesty is number one. Integrity, we're going to operate with integrity in my office. And the transparency, and most of my clients know I'm pretty transparent. I share a lot with them. I educate them on things that they may not even want to be educated on. If I see it's of importance that they need to know. So with that being said, I want to correct something that I said a few months back. I think in November, I did a live with Lindsay Taylor, the real estate agent. And one thing that I had stated, I reread it and was like, oh, I misquoted that. So W-2 employees cannot, and I misspoke when I said it. W-2 employees cannot claim home office expenses this year. Um, I don't know what I can't remember what I actually read at that time that led me to believe that, oh, okay, because of the pandemic, now everyone's going home, they're incurring these additional costs and expenses, and they should be able to. However, the Tax Cuts and Job Act that was put in place by Donald Trump discontinued that in 2018. So that's going to actually trump anything else that's out there until 2025. So hopefully some of these laws change back. Moving expenses got kicked out, and that one is adjusted now. Moving expenses are only available to military personnel. So if you have expenses, but I did want to clear that up in that I misspoke when I said that the home office deduction can be claimed by W-2 employees. Okay. So wanted to clear that up, but just so you better understand. Also, if you have someone that's an accountant, now in different states, if someone is not a CPA, they cannot carry the title of accountant. I'm in South Carolina. We can carry that title as long if we have the education to back it, and I do. But the accountant also prepares and analyzes financial reports. They just can't sign off on it. And so that you'll see some disclaimers probably when you sign your engagement letter with your accountant. Hopefully they have engagement letters that they have you signing as to what the scope of work is. But they help create financial statements and regulatory compliances, and they will actually have a CPA signed off. Now, what I've decided to do is, because I don't have my credentials yet, I've decided to partner with CPAs and enrolled agents so that if someone comes onto my firm and those services, I find that, okay, this work is beyond the scope of what I can do, I do have someone that I know, like, and trust that can serve my clients with the same level of care that I provide to my clients. Now, your bookkeepers, okay, your bookkeepers are clerks, and they often handle the hey, Caritza, they often handle the entering. It's more data entry type, but they still have to know accounting. Okay, they have to know your debits and your credits, and they have to understand what can be depreciated. A lot of times, and I'm seeing this more and more now, where someone says, "Oh, I can do my own bookkeeping. I can handle that." But then when I get their records, I see that they have assets that they can be getting depreciation on that it's not happening because they didn't know. So don't discount getting a professional to do the work. It's better to have them in your corner because you're losing out a lot of times on thousands of dollars. There's things even on taxes that I can easily identify and say, oh, this tax law went into effect. This applies to my client. Let me add this in here and let them know. And I do, if I find something, I do let my clients know. But let the client know that, hey, you're missing out on some deductions here. Let's get this entered in. Or if they're taking deductions that they shouldn't be taking. There's one I see where I had one time where a gentleman was wanting to write off his haircut, but he wasn't in an area that it's reasonable and customary for him to write off haircuts. So we want to make sure that you stay compliant, all while saving on taxes. Yes, we want you to save money. Yes, we want you to get the good refunds and all of that good stuff. But we want you to be compliant while you're doing it because, again, and I'm going to say this again and again and again, all throughout this year, the IRS is ramping up audits by 50% this year. 50%. That's a large number. And that's how some of this money is going to be recouped that's being handed out. And there's no way to sugarcoat it. That's how some of this money is going to be recouped. Okay. They're going to get it back one way or another. And typically when an audit happens, when the IRS comes, by the time they come to you, they've done their due diligence. The other thing is, though, for my business owners, again, if you're commingling funds, stop. Put your business funds in an account and put your personal funds in a separate account. Record keeping. We're still at the beginning of the year. Track your mileage. Track your mileage. Have your records. Keep your receipts. Scan them because they fade. You don't want to get in a situation where you're getting audited 3 years down the road and then your receipts are all faded that you took credits for. You know, they could easily say, oh, no, we're going to disallow this. I can't see that receipt. So I encourage you to take snapshots of those receipts. And then you have tax planners. Now, the tax planner can fall under the umbrella of an accountant. Because I operate a full service, I offer each of these services. I study each of these services. And the tax planners, what tax planning does is it looks at your financials and gives a more in-depth with more deeper understanding of your financials and where you're at and then where you want to go. Like in 5 years, I want to add an extra building or two or an extra location or two to my books. We look at how to help you do that strategically. And that's also in CFO services. We look at strategic ways to help you do that. But with tax planning, we're trying to reduce your tax liability. And we're looking for strategies, loopholes, things that you can take so that, but a lot of those things have to be done on the front end. So for example, 401k contributions, everyone knows when you give to your 401k, it's pre-tax. And that's the traditional 401k. When you give to that, it's pre-tax dollars. It's before you're taxed on the money. So it reduces your tax liability. If you're not contributing, we look at how much you need to contribute to bring that income down to reduce that tax liability. When to purchase equipment. Just because you have the money or feel like you have the money in your account, it looks like I have a profit. I made 6 figures this year. I made $100,000, but you didn't take out for any expenses. You didn't look at the fact that you had expenses there. And you're assuming you have 6 figures. I'm going to go buy this $5,000 vehicle to operate in my business, but you don't truly have the money to do it. So with tax planning, we strategically look at ways to help you save more in your taxes. Okay, so that's a different service than tax preparation. And I know a lot of times when someone's doing your taxes, yes, we'll point out ways that you can save. Do you have a home-based business? Or if you do have a home-based business, what about this cost? These are things that your professionals should be asking you. They should be asking you questions. I always like to say, it's like, when we go to the doctor and we tell the doctor all our business, I need to know all your business when it comes to your finances. I even have a couple of people that's clients and they know I get on them and I'm like, what are you buying? Why are you buying that? Do you have the money for that? How do you know you have the money for that? But we're asking so that we can help reduce that liability for you and help increase those net profits. Okay. So I just wanted to hop on real quick, like I said, and just talk about some myths that I see often. And I don't know, it just kind of grinds my gears because it kind of discounts everyone else, but I get it. I understand. It's an assumption. And until someone educates you, you don't know. You just don't know what you don't know. So I am here to share if anyone has any questions or anything that they want to know while we're in tax season. We know the season is gotten pushed back, so we won't start until February 12th. However, don't let that discourage you from going ahead and getting your information into the hands of your tax professional. Here at Bryant Business Solutions, we have already started onboarding. We also have our promos going on, $50 for referrals upon their paid return. And then we'll be doing a drawing for 3 people that we will be paying a bill for them in May. Um, yeah, so I hope everyone enjoyed this information and you found it useful. If you did, like I said, like, share the post, and so someone else can be educated about the differences and the different um, educational credentials and what's needed for when you're looking for a tax professional. You just want to make sure you got someone that knows what they're talking about, or and not that we know everything. We don't, and I'll be the first to say I don't know everything. However, I will research, and that's how I've gained my knowledge over the years. I get it a lot of times when I mentor. I'll be asked, well, how did you learn all this stuff? Digging, digging, digging. Like when I get a client, and if it's something that I'm not familiar with, I pull out those publications. I truly do. I pull out the publications. I pull out the resources. I read. I get things like cheat sheets, tax facts that to keep at my fingertips. I don't try to memorize these numbers. I do not try to memorize these numbers at all. I used to do that, believe it or not, which is probably why I think my brain is kind of fried now in some areas. But I used to try, and not used to try, I used to memorize these numbers. And it's weird how I remember numbers. But I get people saying, oh, I don't want to do taxes. I don't like math. I don't like, it's not even so much math. It's just understanding the laws and what applies when. And it's more than what I've been told. Oh, I thought you just keyed numbers in off of the forms. And when the person that was watching me, they were like, "You're doing somebody's taxes and you're doing all that digging and that research." Absolutely, absolutely. I want to get everything I could get for my client. I want to get them not necessarily so much the biggest return. Now, I want to maximize their funds, but I want to make sure that they're compliant. I want to make sure that they're keeping up with their documents, and I want to make sure that you're educated regarding your finances, regarding your tax situation, because you're going to see it again when the kids go to school. If you have children, when they go off to college, you have to complete the FAFSA. You got to know these numbers because they pull information from your tax return. And a lot of times people don't know those numbers, and they'll say, well, and I know you may say, well, it's one, all they got to do is read it. It's not as easy as people think all the time. You know, if I'm the tax pro and I know where to look, I know exactly where to go at on those forms to look for the information that's being asked in other areas. When you go to apply, for example, for the PPP funds, your book's got to be in order. You can't go to an accountant or a professional who's doing capital funding. You can't go to them and your books are a mess, because the PPP, those banks are going to turn you down. So these are things that you want to be proactive about. You want to make sure you get these things in order. And if that means sitting down and doing them step by step, I have walked people through this process. And literally, we take it in bite sized pieces. Um, and I understand that getting these things corrected, even for those businesses that you've been in business for some time now, it takes time sometimes to get to reverse our bad habits and our behaviors that we have in place. It happens though. Everyone doesn't know everything when they start a business. They don't know what they should be doing from the beginning or even before they start. Um, you're doing research and development even when you're looking at starting a business. When you're driving around and you're looking for space to rent out and things of that nature, there's things that you could do to capitalize off of that. But you wouldn't know that. You would just go TurboTax, do your taxes, put in what you see on that W-2, and boom, I'm done. But you want to maximize what you're getting. You want someone who's going to be efficient and help you understand exactly what you have going on, because the more you know, the better you are, the better you feel, the more confident you are in the event if you do get audited and you're in one of that 50% ramp up. You're okay. You get in there and with that audit and you're confident in what it is. And when they see that and they see that your affairs are in order, typically they go on to the next person. Okay, their stuff is together. Let me go on and hit this one whose records aren't quite clear. They're commingling funds. They're mixing everything up. They don't know who they went to dinner with back the beginning of the year, but they tried to clean everything up at the end of the year. So you want to go ahead and get that stuff taken care of. Again, if you have your books, you need them clean. I think I'm going to do one more promo just because the PPP has come back around. I'm going to run another promo for bookkeeping cleanup, and getting those financials and things of that nature. And then, of course, tax season is here. So go ahead and get your documents to your tax professional. That way, that's a weight lifted off of you. Let us figure the rest out, because we can actually start processing now. We can start entering data now. It just cannot be transmitted to the IRS yet. So, and there's still, even with that, a test group that the IRS uses. So some people are in that lucky few that get theirs done earlier, because it's in a queue, and they're taking random samples to still continue to test their systems in production. So again, I am Tawana with Bryant Business Solutions. This has been Tax Talk Tuesday. If you ever have a topic or an area of discussion or a question or something that you want me to cover on these Tax Talk Tuesdays, by all means, slide in my DM. Let me know what it is that you want to know about, and I'll be more than happy to share the information here live. All right. I hope you all have a good night, and I'll see you next Tuesday.